don't overmix the dough at this moment. Don't overshape the dough. It's really difficult at the end with those like who are rich in gluten like this. Gluten in the beginning is really strong. We try to go as far as possible with this gluten, but quick we understand that there is a limit, a dangerous limit for this, and you can try to come close to this extreme limit. I do that a little bit in long, and this batter will now rest for 15 to 20 minutes. We put this on a couche so it doesn't stick. My grandfather said this: don't deflate too much the dough. These bubbles are important for these nice baguettes. This is not the truth, because these bubbles are full of gas carbonic. So on the gas carbonic, there is no light. The yeast cannot continue to grow in an environment without oxygen. So you have at this moment to deflate a little bit the dough, so this will reactivate. This gives air, fresh air when you push out and you upside down, because you did just pre-shape your bread. You deflate a little bit to push out the gas carbonic. You bring these elements to the middle, the same on the other side, okay? Here you push, and then you have to fold with this thumb. Here you see I use this thumb to fold my dough, up, and with this part I push just this. And how less flour you use on your table, how better it is to close your seam. If you use a lot of flour, it's really difficult to close. You could put this on first a parchment paper, and then the parchment paper you can slide with your parchment paper into your oven, you know, and you bake with your parchment paper. But the reaction is exactly the same as baking direct on the stone. The worst you can do in a deck oven is to bake on a sheet pan. When you have a convection oven, you don't have another possibility. But in a deck oven, you have to bake direct on the stone. Cutting the bread, here 5 or 7 coups de lame. Huh? So not straight, and you have to start here, you finish here. Okay, like this, 1, 2, 3. The secret of bread baking is how more regular you load your oven to dry out. If you do that in Miami, forget it. In half an hour, it's soggy. Huh? So you have to reduce to come back to 450 probably. Huh? To bake 5 minutes more. This is the minimum. So we check what happens inside. So and here you see with a soft dough, I had just, you remember, no secret, just pre-fermented dough, direct method, just a regular method, and you have this result. So you give the first turn. So here, question, how long and how thin must be this dough? So if you're too short, when you fold it, it's really thick here, and then it's more difficult to control the next way. If you're too thin, you start to reduce too much the thickness of the butter, and 3 turns later you have a wonderful paste, but you don't have the layers because you did push too much the butter into the dough. Huh? really simple. Okay, and then you fold in three, what I call un tour simple, a simple turn. So if it's the same guy where every day pipes this, he knows exactly how much he has to pipe it. Lucy, let me know. Yeah, spirals. Yeah, because if you make a tube, you have a problem. Huh? You have too air inside, and so air is cheaper than almond cream, of course. But and we bring this as cold as possible. Huh? Okay. Danish. You can bake, for example, a Danish with this, just with this almond cream, an apricot or a fruit here, and this will puff a lot on this side. So you have here these nice layers, and you have here the fruit. And this looks up and up. Yeah. Then I open it. And you close it. Then you have to close here, you push here, just to be sure that this filling doesn't come out. Okay. Spray egg wash, but you have to strain this egg each year. So, but this is a size, you know. Yeah. Then you can. This is bad because this olive will burn when you bake the bread. So how more the olives must be as much as possible into the dough. Huh? So the dough will preserve different areas in France. You have just one popular type of thin bread, like a fougasse. Fougasse is really thin. We had in Alsace tarte flambée, in the west of France, en Vendée, there is le préfou. All these doughs are flat. And why did the bakers create a flat bread recipe in these countries? This was just in the past to control the temperature of the oven. Before they had these new electrical ovens, they had only wooden burn oven, and they had to check the temperature. But you cannot bake a big loaf if you don't know the temperature in your oven. So they had these flat pieces into the oven, and then you look what happens with this bread, if the color is coming quick or not. So it was the bread that they used to check the temperature of the oven. Huh? So this is why in a lot of different areas you find one popular recipe of flat bread baked at hot temperature. It was also the way to cool down a little bit the oven. Small pieces, really flat, you load the oven, this did cool down the stone. You did bake this in 10-15 minutes, and then it was possible to bake the bigger loaves. Huh? Okay, this is just the historic part of this flat bread in France and in Europe. Now the fougasse is so the way that I'm doing the fougasse is not the traditional way. So a baker from south of France would probably kill me if this is my way to make a fougasse, but I try to find a way who works every day, you know. And once these bread are pre-shaped, you have just to roll these out, okay? And then, so what they did just put these on a parchment paper, or no, not parchment paper, but on a couche. This way, up, for example, and you stretch, and you have here, so these flat bread. It was not just, yeah, exactly. Just so you see a little bit, if you pipe it, you can understand. No, it's not sweet. Huh? So, no sugar, it's a lot. Like, I don't first separate the brioche. that, you brush this line with oil. Okay? Then you bring this to the center. Okay? And then push here and you push. And you see the shape now? It looks